To stay alive, trying to find me shawty and make her mine. Now I'll find one in no time. With the help of my homies, I'm going out with my bros. With my
All right, bruh fans, I hope everyone's excited because this is my first official video Zoom interview with one of the cast members from the mini shows I review here on the YouTube channel. Now, if you are familiar with bruh, then you should know about Tom's semi-aggressive co-worker at the hospital, Valerie. I was speaking with Caroline Harris in regards to her role on the show, her journey as an actor, and we talk a little bit about Bruh season 1 as a whole, at least the first 12 episodes that are available to stream on BET Plus. The back half of season 1 will be coming later this year, sometime in the fall. So just a heads up, we don't go too deep with spoilers, but I just want to let you know, if you have not watched Bruh, then I would definitely suggest watching it before watching the interview, because really we talk about some of the story points, but it's an enjoyable series. Each episode is 21 minutes long. You can easily binge it within the span of maybe 3 to 4 hours, and then you can come back or watch the interview. Maybe us talking about the show would really motivate you even more to watch the series. I will say this, I personally enjoyed it. I have an entire playlist on the channel where I review and discuss every single episode. So if you're kind of questioning whether or not you should get BET Plus, remember it's $9.99 a month plus tax, but you get a 7-day free trial. Not to mention, they already have the first half of the Tyler Perry Ruthless series, which is 12 episodes so far, and just like Bruh, it will be returning later this fall for the back half of the first season, which is an additional 12 episodes. So I know you've heard me talk a lot already, but I just wanted to set the stage for this interview. Make sure you do me a favor. I'd really appreciate it if you go follow Caroline on Instagram. I'll leave her username handle on the screen now. You'll also find a link to her Instagram pinned to the top comment down below. And before going any further, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. And without further ado, let's get to the interview, and I hope you enjoy.
Are you catching feelings?
Ain't she the side piece?
You want to talk about the contract over some drinks? All he has are side pieces.
I know you still want me. I can see it in your eyes. I see through your pants.
You're so beautiful. I was wondering if I could take you out.
I don't think so.
You make sandwiches.
Let's get it. We the bros, like, bruh. I love bro.
All right, have and have not fans, welcome to my first official face-to-face cast interview on Zoom with the amazingly talented Caroline Harris, aka Valerie from Tyler Perry's Bruh. If you haven't watched it, you need to get BET Plus. The first 12 episodes are on there for you to view right now. Each one is about 21 minutes long, so it should take you half as long as it would take to watch the first half of The Oval. And right there, that's incentive enough. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Jeremy.
No problem. I will do my best to say Caroline instead of Valerie because I might slip up.
I'll respond to both.
Works for me. Okay, so for the first question, if you could just go into kind of your backstory, what inspired you to pursue acting?
Yeah, well, so I grew up in Chicago. I have two sisters, and we all grew up playing sports. We played soccer. But my mom, she danced ballet before, deciding to just be a lawyer and, give up that. But she instilled in all of us this urge to be creative. And so when I was young, I took ballet and I did painting, and I loved expressing myself, but I wasn't quite, I knew I hadn't found like the thing. And then when I was 14 years old, my mom took us to see a musical because Chicago always had musicals coming through town. They'd be there for a few months. So we went, and I remember I didn't really love theater that much. I thought I didn't, so I was kind of complaining the day that I was like, oh, we got to go see this musical. And we went, and I watched it, and I was just like, this is what I want to do.
Nice.
This is what I want to be on that stage, making somebody in the audience feel as alive as I feel right now. And so I started to take musical theater classes, but I think singing is genetic. I think you have to have this. Do you agree? I think you have to have genes to be a good singer, because I'm not a good singer.
When I tell you I get lit up in the comment section when I'm just jokingly trying to sing in a video, keep your day job. I cannot agree with you anymore, because
and it breaks my heart, because I so badly wanted to be a musical theater actor. I took voice lessons. I kid you not. I took voice lessons for 4 years. Mm-hmm. I still can't sing. So I gave it, basically before college, I was like, all right, I know I love acting. Musical theater is not for me. Let's try and do some theater. So my first thing that I did was this, I joined this youth theater group after high school when I was, I think, a sophomore. And we would devise our own shows and we would perform it. We took acting classes. It was called After School Matters, which is in Chicago. They have these programs where you can do, it's not just the arts, I don't think, but anyway, it's a way for kids to have something that they do after school. And so I chose the theater one. And so that's where it began. Then I went to college and I majored in theater, and I did a whole bunch more, but that was the start.
Nice. Okay, so going back to the vocal stuff briefly, I got a question for you. Now, as a person who doesn't really pride themselves on being able to sing, but when I'm in the shower or the car, you can't tell me anything. Is there a particular artist or song that you love to sing despite what you call a lack of a vocal ability?
What everyone near me. So yes, I sing in the car, I sing in the shower, I sing all the time at home. I love musicals. I sing Wicked. I sing the Book of Mormon. I'm trying to think of if there's any pop music that I sing. It's mostly musicals, so I can really belt it out, and it's terrible. Like, anybody around me will be like, please stop.
I'm trying to keep a straight face right now because I just relate to this on so many
right? I'm glad, because it sucks. And then there are some people who don't even need to take a voice class and they can sing.
It's like the people who don't gain any weight from eating a bunch of junk food. That's pretty much the equivalent.
Them too. I know
when it comes to musicals, I have to ask this. Now, in my personal life, I didn't really grow up in the theater or anything. I'm familiar with it. Like when I was in college, I went to, I want to say, about 3 to 5 plays in the theater. And it wasn't until just recently on Disney Plus when they released Hamilton that I watched that, because I haven't really seen a musical in almost half a decade. And I gotta admit, that was pretty addicting. I've been about a week clean. I've detoxed myself from Hamilton. I've watched it 6 times, and
you did?
I can't even walk from my bedroom to the kitchen without belting out one of the songs, doing my little messed up little parodies of it. But I was wondering, if there was any particular theater song that you feel like is on your heart to sing when no one else is around. Like, I'm not going to ask you to sing on this camera right here, even though it would be very much.
Nobody's going to want to hear it. I'm not even going to do it because it'll probably scar me for life. But
yes.
I'd have to say, so Wicked is my favorite. Wicked is my favorite musical, which I know it's like everybody's favorite musical, but it is my favorite musical. And I would have to say The Wizard and I from Wicked is the song that I will belt out the most.
Did they make a movie about Wicked?
Not yet, although I think it's been rumored for years that they're going to make a movie of Wicked, but I don't think it's been started or anything like that.
Okay, because I think Into the Woods was one of my favorite musicals that I've seen in person. That was one heck of a book.
Yeah.
I love that one. Okay, well, going from question 1 to 2, I mean, what when you get past your teenage and early college years of theater and your after school program, which I think you said was more than just theater, so it was like a recreational center for kids after they got out of that last class. What would you consider to be your first role as an actress?
My first real role would probably, my first real show that I did was when I was in high school, and it was called Air Guitar Nation, which was written, so it was directed by this woman who, I think it was her second play that she had written. She's a playwright in Chicago. And so we were actually the first cast. she was kind of trying it out, and we were the first cast to do it. So it's always nice to say that you were the original of something. So that was my first play, and it was about these kids who, all these different types of kids in the high school. You know, your popular kid, your nerd, your goth kid, competing in this air guitar competition. And so that was kind of my first. I feel like I've done all these like just kind of crazy different things, because a lot of the theater I did when I was younger, it wasn't like Shakespeare, or it wasn't a play you had heard of. It was either something that was devised or something that was new.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really until I got to college and also to grad school that then I went back and I started doing, okay, we did some Chekhov, we did Shakespeare, you know, we did all of the classic stuff. But at the beginning, it was all just, it felt like just play. And I think that's where I really, because there were no rules and because no one had a way of how you were supposed to do it, I just got to be me. And I developed something in me that was like, oh, I want to do this and I can do this because there are no rules. So my first play that really was a real play would be Air Guitar Nation.
It actually makes a lot of sense to do something that isn't as structured as everyone else. Like if you did Romeo and Juliet or, you know, Hamlet, something that a lot of people are familiar with. So doing these unique off the wall, different projects, I can see why that would cause you to really have a love for theater, because you're not doing something everyone else is. But moving, I know you said the word crazy and I'm like, okay, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Oh no.
Okay. Okay, disclaimer, I never thought Valerie was crazy. I think she's just,
I don't think she's crazy either.
no, she's just misunderstood. Quotation marks. Okay, so what was it about the script when you received it that made you go, you know what, I have to play Valerie. This is someone who I feel I can bring to life from the paper to in front of the camera?
I love that question. So for me, what's important is, I feel like this is, I'm going to try not to have a super long answer to this, but I have a lot to say.
Take your time.
So many, I'd say, we live in a society where if you have emotions as a woman towards anything, you are labeled as crazy, in my opinion. I think that too much emotion in any way, kind of, you're going to be labeled as unstable, or whoa, she needs to, you know. And so when I was reading this script, I was like, I know exactly how I want to play this. The world is labeling her this, but she's got a reason for her behavior. Is not simply, I'm not just making up the way I feel because I want to feel that way. Everything that I saw her as somebody who was hurting. And, you know, I'm going to be careful here because episode 12 ends with Valerie talking to Tom about why can't I do why does this happen to me? So you kind of see that maybe something else has happened.
Side note, not to interrupt. If you are watching this interview, consider it spoilers between
episodes. Yeah, sorry. I will not. Okay, let me not talk about specific things. But with her, it's just, I saw immediately, this girl's not crazy. I want to play somebody who you can see my side of the story and see how society looks at me, and then actually hear me and see me for who I am as a complex, three-dimensional character. And so I saw the opportunity for that right off the bat. So that was important to me. But also, she is kind of out there. A lot of people get, you know, hurt and they don't express themselves in the way that she does. And for me as an actor, I was like, wow, it'll be nice to play somebody who actually expresses themselves. For a while, some of the projects that I've done, some of the earlier projects have been very, she's a professional, or she's kind of straight, you know, she's just straight down the road. Like she's your everyday girl. Though I played a lot of roles where she's the everyday girl. And this was one of the first times where I got to play somebody who is, she's not the lead, so therefore she doesn't have to be someone that everybody identifies with. She causes trouble. And she's kind of out there, and you don't always get opportunities to play somebody like that. And so when I saw that, I was like, okay, I know how I can do this to make her really three-dimensional, and I get to have fun again, because sometimes, you know, you don't necessarily get to play these types of roles all the time.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's see here. 'Cause there's so much I want to say. 'Cause I looked at the questions again. I feel like this is like the meat
Yeah, it's a big one.
here. So once again, folks, I feel like I have to say certain plot points from the show to get the question across. But once again, watch Bruh. It's on BET Plus. I've done reviews on every single episode. I've done videos on a lot of the characters, so this should come to no surprise. But when it came to episode 12, I'm kind of going to go back to our messages from a few weeks ago, kind of leading up to the interview. When Valerie was telling Tom, you know, why does this keep happening to me? And I was just thinking, wow, this obviously isn't the first time she's been in a compromising position with a male, either co-worker or acquaintance. I was just thinking, has she tried to ruin the lives of men in her past before? Is Tom the first one she's actually really gunning for? So I could just tell from Valerie being not even a main character, and that's what made her stick out to me. When I was watching Bruh, I'm looking at characters like, I believe it's Pam, Regina, and Valerie, who are kind of like, and I know Charlie is kind of the new addition to the bunch. Those characters who don't show up in every single episode, but when they do show up, I think what I love about the writing on Bruh is that with so little of a cast compared to, let's say, the Oval or the Haves and the Have-Nots, characters are used properly. Like when they show up, you know it's because, oh, wow, okay, something about to pop off here. You know, Mike's about to act a fool in the bar because he sees Pam with another guy. Bill is about to just act selfish because he sees a woman who he treated like a disposable, you know, like a dog, a disposable, you know, as a man to call another man a dog, I feel some kind of way, but it's a show character, just treated Regina like a disposable chew toy, but another man picked up that toy and no. I know I didn't want her, but now I do because she was with somebody else. But when I saw Valerie going to your acting, I remember when I first saw her, I think the first scene was you and Tom in the hospital. And I'm trying to remember if it was when it was a young lady and I believe her mother, and then her mom was kind of poking fun like, hey, you know, are you single? Let me give him your number right now. And then as soon as they left, Valerie kind of confronted Tom. I'm like, okay, not everything is good in this doctor's office here. Mm-hmm. There was a certain look in your eyes, not a crazy look, but I felt like there was something there like, better watch out for this one.
Yeah, good memory. That's the first time you see Valerie. To go back a little bit, I don't think, and this is just me, so as an actor, you get the script, right? And you talk a little bit about it with other people, but a lot of it is on you to make up the motivations, to make up everything, to make it easy for you to play. So for me, as someone who went to theater school, I'm like, okay, so this is, you know, I'm all about my backstory. I want to know everything about her. What happened to her when she was 9? Did, you know, what about when she was 13 and went to school? Did people like her? All these sorts of questions start racing through my head, and I start making decisions, and those decisions help me figure out how I'm going to play her. So I don't think that, and this is totally just my interpretation, but I don't think that Valerie has ever done something like this before. I think that she fell in love, and she has fallen in love before.
Yes, I agree with
that.
But
she does not, so there's never anything vindictive. She doesn't do anything to hurt anybody. But because she has so much emotion inside of her, and she falls for people easily, she gets hurt. And because she's hurt, she responds in a
Isn't the saying hurt people?
Yes. And that is Valerie. I think hurt people. And so we'll see what happens in the second half, but
yeah, no spoilers. No, we're not asking for spoilers. Nope.
But she is a hurt person. And I think and I hope that people will see that instead of thinking of her as just, oh, she's crazy. She's, you know, she's just out to get him. I want them to see, oh, she's a hurt person, and this is what happens sometimes when someone is hurt. And so with that in mind, that is, I can't even remember the question because I'm just rambling. But
no. The question was like about the script, but from the script,
yeah. So you can see that. So you see the clues on the page. You're like, oh, I see how dynamic she is, and I see how my contribution to how I create this character is going to mesh with the words on the page and make it something special and make people think twice before maybe labeling somebody crazy before writing somebody off, and maybe think, oh, what's going on with that person?
Yeah, because the scene when Valerie was at Tom's door, I was scared to death. I'm like, Lord.
I know you said you thought that she was gonna like hurt Tom physically.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what she had in the purse. I mean, after that encounter at the bar, it's like, okay, so thanks to Mike foiling her plan, basically getting concrete evidence that the allegations that she made against Tom were not legit, what would be her next step? Violence, possibly? Or kind of throwing herself at Tom? And I don't really know how that would have played out, because if Tom gave in, would Valerie then use that against him as like, hey, we had sex again recently? I don't know. This is Tyler Perry here. But I think what you're saying, I agree with everything you said in regards to not writing off people. And as someone who's watched so many Tyler Perry shows and movies and plays over the years, it's easy for people to say, oh, okay, that's the crazy one right there. I've already seen this story. But I think that's the difference between when Tyler Perry has a play, a movie, and a series. It's the amount of time that we have to work and see a character. Like seeing Valerie stretched across multiple episodes is different than one character in one of the movies, because there's like a 2-hour time frame and where their story has to be kind of crammed in with everyone else's. So by unfolding the layers of Valerie, and it's almost like every appearance, we're getting something else added to the puzzle. So it's like, when we were messaging before, each week I would just have like these long paragraphs like, okay, now I think Valerie's going to do this, and I wonder how this is going to change in the back half of the season, because there's so much range with that particular character. And I wonder if, it started off slow, from her encounters with Tom. I think the second Valerie appearance, I want to say it was I think 2 or 3. I think it was 3.
I think it was 2. I think I was in 1 and 2, and then I wasn't in 3.
That's right, because 3 was about John and the money. Tom was confronting John about where he got the money for the club. It was, that was the encounter where you're both in the office. Tom has his back turned, and then you're bringing up a story about the little girl, and it's like, oh yeah, you're so good with the children. Well, thank you. I think our kids will lie down. I'm like, okay, we're red alert. We're hitting a red flag here. Yeah. So I was just sitting there the whole time looking at the season progress. I'm like, you know what? Valerie says Tom did this and did that. But I'm like, couldn't Tom counter, allegations for sexual harassment in the workplace? But that's what I actually liked about the writing as the story unfolded, because looking at all the characters as a whole, I think Tyler Perry is tackling a lot of current issues. Like, the big topics of the past couple of years have been like the Me Too and Time's Up situations. But what I liked about Bruh is the fact that it's showing that men deal with that as well, not just the women, because I looked at Bruh as the unofficial other side of the coin for sisters, kind of like how you have the Oval and Ruthless, but then you have Bruh and sisters. When I saw KJ Smith in the initial Bruh trailer, I lost my mind. You're talking to a person whose job it is to dissect everything and try to connect the shows. For example, that post I made a couple nights
ago. I love that post.
Thank you. I did not expect it to get even a fraction of the attention it got, because it was like 3 a.m. I'm like, here's some stuff I would love to see happen. So when I saw Andy pop up in episode 2 at Mike's loft, I'm like, okay, now I got to dissect to see where the time frame is. But I think that the connection and the crossovers could definitely happen, because the characters are just so interesting that I really wanted to see them merge together. But when Valerie started, I believe, kind of spreading rumors around the workplace, like when Tom introduced himself to one of the new nurses, and she was like, oh yeah, I've heard about you. It was like, okay. And then Valerie popped up like, don't worry, girl, I got your back. I'm like, oh, I know where this is going.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, I think of Valerie, I think of her as younger than, I think of her as young. And so I think that she's learning she's not, yes, a lot of stuff has happened to her and she's maybe not dealing with it in the most mature way. It kind of like, part of it was like Valerie she's kind of like the schoolgirl, like she's at work, but this is like school to her. The boy who doesn't like her, you know, she's gonna treat it like she's in high school, and she's gonna gossip, and she's gonna turn people against him, and all because she's hurt. It's not the right thing, but we see why she's doing it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because you can be a certain age, but that doesn't mean that you can biologically be one age, but you're not mentally or emotionally that age because of your experiences. Like, for example, let's say, I'm just throwing it out there, let's say Tom is like the first guy to show her that kind of physical or sexual attention. And let's say that Valerie is like, I'm just spitballing here, like 26 or something like that. So I can definitely see what you mean by the breakdown there. Not to mention the fact that, what was the episode? I believe it was entitled The Cute Ones. Let's say it was episode 10, but
Okay.
double checking now. Season 1, episode 7.
7. Yeah, that's what I thought. 7 is where is 7, I think 7 is where I'm like, I have a breakdown at work with him.
Yes.
Yeah, and I say I'm not crazy. I think that's the one.
That's the one. And I was like, I mean, crazy is such a strong word. I feel like it was definitely misunderstood, because I feel like that was the first time I think Tom really snapped back at everything Valerie had been doing to him up until that point. But I do feel like overall, you know, Tom.
I lost your volume. Oh, there
Can you hear me now? Okay, weird. Okay. At that point, Tom had just been putting up with everything Valerie had been doing. Valerie's like you were saying before, you know, acting like a schoolgirl, pretty much that person who doesn't really know how to express their feelings properly. So they're teasing the person who they feel is rejecting them. So Tom's just trying to go about his day, and then Valerie keeps poking and prodding him. And then she finally has a little bit of a snap, and I'm like, is she? And I don't mean to assume the worst about Valerie, but we're talking about two people alone in the room with sharp objects. And he's like, fine, I'm going to tell the chief. And it's like, not if I tell first. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be bad.
So here, you know what? Have you ever? You don't have to answer this. This is just a question for everybody who ends up watching this. Is if you've ever worked with somebody who you've had a relationship, that's why they don't allow relationships at work, I feel, because
it's a personal rule not to date coworkers. Have
right?
I had crushes? Oh, absolutely. But
if you think about if one of those crushes, think about if you dated them and it went wrong. The feeling in your gut, which for me would be like I've been sucker punched, you feel that you dread going to work. You feel that every moment, because you're like, oh, are they there? Like, where are they? And so that's what she's going through. Like every single moment of her day is spiraling because he's there. And not only is it a coworker, it's somebody who is above her. It's someone who, you know, I've envisioned that they work together for a while, that he, you know, he's relatively new, but he came in and he had a direct relationship with me. He's mentoring me. He's a doctor. I'm a nurse. I look up to him. And so this person who I look up to has hurt me. How can I focus on anything else? So Valerie really, I see her taking those, she's like, okay, I have a few minutes. Maybe I can talk to him, and maybe, you know, I don't think he's going to keep rejecting me. I think he's going to change. I want him to change his mind. So I think that she went into those situations hoping that it would obviously turn out differently than it did. But I never thought of her as going to do something violent towards Tom. Like I saw her being someone who she's full of empty threats, in my opinion. And so
empty threats,
you know, I guess not with work, but I guess because I think of myself, I feel like I'm right. You know what I mean? I feel like I stand up for myself as Valerie, and even as the actor playing Valerie, I feel like I don't know, maybe it's just when you're playing that character, you're like, no, I'm right, or like, no, I like, why are people acting like this? I believe myself, and I am not doing anything wrong. I'm not in the wrong. I am just, can't you see how I've been mistreated, but maybe that's just because I'm playing her.
Yeah, I mean, I get into these like heated. I cannot tell you how much flack I would get on the haves and the have-nots when I would call out Candace or Veronica for being extremely in the wrong. People will just go at me in the comments like, "You're ridiculous. You hate women." I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" She burnt down their mansion with the husband in the inside. I'm pretty sure there's something messed up about that. But Valerie, you literally went into my next question. It wasn't on the sheet too. It was just like a question in general, like, okay, I was trying to like piece together like how long Tom and Valerie had known each other. Like, were they friends? Apparently it was like a drunken one night stand after a Christmas party. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, what kind of led to that? Where, you know, how long had to be working together? Was there kind of flirtation? I know that it's been mentioned that John, well, basically Mike was the one that told Tom to like, you know, go ahead and sleep with her, while his boy was like, nah, you probably don't want to do that. So I feel like Valerie, and again, I actually like Valerie. It's just the fact that it's BET Plus, and BET Plus can be edgy. So every time she's alone, I'm like, she about to cut Tom right
Well,
now.
who knows? I mean, who knows what will happen, right? But like, I think so. It's never defined how long we've known each other. So again, it's just me making things up to make it easier for me to play this character. I didn't think that they'd known each other for years, but maybe for a few months or you know, a little while where they've had enough time to get to know each other, and they've had
You know
enough.
what? Not to cut you off, but I just had a thought because of what you just said. With Tom kind of being the mentor figure, it's possible, like, you know, during the mentor sessions, maybe Valerie felt like Tom gave her special attention. Like, oh, great job, Valerie. Or maybe like, you know, just a little pat on the shoulder. And she kind of thought, okay, okay. And then the Christmas party, hey, maybe mistletoe, you know, wasn't the only thing, you know, hanging from the ceiling. I don't know. But it's just one of those situations where I think that the Tom and Valerie thing, you know, just kind of looking, I love the dynamic of the bros because they all kind of represent a different kind of guy. And I see myself almost in everyone except for Mike, because I've never been that kind of guy, you know, just the ladies man. Like, I had a bro group like that in college, but I was just like, I don't know. I wasn't the tallest one or the most muscular, so I was just kind of like the funny guy who was smart. But to just see how Mike is the womanizer and Tom is like the sensitive one of the group, I could see why Valerie would be into him. And then to have a guy like that have sex with you, it's the holiday season, you know, the season of giving. But apparently he wasn't giving you his heart. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And then he just turned into anger at work.
Yeah. And you know, when you have a friendship with somebody for, I don't know, you have a close friendship with somebody, and then it does lead to something physical, you automatically, in my opinion, skip like 4 steps.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, we've been friends or we've been close, and then this happened. Why not just skip to step 5? It's not like we went on a date, then we got to get to know each other. I already know Tom. He, in my opinion, he already knows me. So that's where she's coming from. It's that, okay, this happened. We've already had this relationship as people.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? What's wrong with it?
I mean, you talk about having sex, kind of jumping 4 steps, but then you kind of go from, hey, we had a one night stand to our babies look beautiful. I'm like, ring by spring.
I mean, and hey, like, I gotta say, Valerie, like, she says, like, maybe she says something that people are just thinking. Like most people would, maybe you would think that thought when you met. You'd be like, oh, like, yeah, I'd love to be with this person. Of course you start thinking about like, what are our kids gonna, you know what I mean? But you don't say those things.
No, you thinking. I think another, and this is one of those kind of personal questions where it's like you can kind of give your opinion. The thought that men and women can't just be friends, I disagree with that. But I think there's also the other question of, I think men and women can just be friends. However, I don't think that it's likely that neither party ever thought, can I see myself romantically with that person? They might not verbalize because, you know, if I say it, it would ruin what we already have as a friendship. So they're content with what, you know, they already have. So
I agree with you 100%. I really think that, yes, men and women can be friends, but I think that the thought was either there when they met or like it's there at some point on
Yeah.
one side or the other. I think it's kind of hard to, I just think it's in like, I don't know, it's an interesting thing to think about. I think I talked about this. I think I did an interview where we talked about, can men and women ever truly be friends? And I think not without it ever crossing their mind at least once.
Yeah, it always crosses, because especially when you see certain qualities that you admire, it's like you haven't found that one guy or one girl who's kind of like your perfect fit, but oh, this guy over here that I'm friends with, he has a couple of the qualities, and then this person, and then vice versa with guys too. It's like, man, you know, she can cook well, but you know, she has a temper, or this girl, you know, she's so level-headed, but you know, she isn't this. So I feel like when it comes to the Valerie and Tom dynamic, it's just one of those things where it's the perfect example of the potential right. I don't want to even say the word love. Well, okay, let me throw this out here. Do you think Valerie potentially loves Tom, or is it just like she just loves the feeling of being with him? It's like that one night. Because all I'm saying is this: if Valerie was wearing the dress at the Christmas, well, if Valerie was at the Christmas party wearing the same dress she was wearing at episode 12, Tom, come on, man. Come on. Just saying.
I think that she thinks she loves Tom, and I think that it could grow to love, but maybe this is me talking as Caroline and not as Valerie for a second, is that I don't know if you can love somebody really without them loving you back, right? Like, I think it's something, I think it can be a feeling of love, but it's not love. Like, I think it has to be reciprocated for it to really be love. And so I think that I think she's infatuated with him. That's what I'm looking for. I think she's infatuated with him, and because he is everything that she wants in her life. Stability, he's smart, he's caring, as I've seen every day in and every day out with each patient he deals with. He's the most caring person I've ever met. He's good looking. There's nothing, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with him. I'm infatuated with him. And I do think it could grow to be something, I would hope, but I don't think in this moment she loves him. Because she doesn't know what that is. I don't think she knows. I don't think she's really felt it.
I agree. Not to mention when you said, you know, you don't think it could be love when it's only one party who's actually in love. I mean, that pretty much describes about 97% of Disney movies right there when you really think about it.
That's true. I might be in the minority there of thinking that you can't love someone without them loving you back. But
I agree. As somebody who's a expert in unrequited love, yeah, I can agree with that. But it's just one of those situations where with the coworker thing, I absolutely agree. I'm very focused. Like when I would go to the call centers, like I would go in there, bang out those phone calls, kill it, and then clock out. Like it wasn't until I quit. Like there were I worked there for 3 years. There were people who I knew for a while, but there are some who I really didn't even get to really know until after I had quit, because I just felt like that professional, personal thing was kind of, you know, I didn't like, you know, to kind of cross the wires there, you know, not to mention in certain jobs, you know, where if you're cool with somebody because you kind of start out at the same time, but then they get a little bit of position, you know, they kind of act kind of different towards you. So I always kind of kept those two different things parallel, you know, the work relationship and the personal relationship. But looking back, it's like, yeah, there are some people I wish I had gotten closer to, maybe not romantically, but I used to dress up all the time at work wearing suits and everything. Like in my closet, it's like Steve Harvey up in there, just nonstop suits and everything. And I would just be in line, you know, waiting for, okay, I'm in financial aid to get this information for a student. And then girl would come up and she would be like, oh, wow, I love your suit. You look great. Thanks. I wish my husband would dress like that. Okay, thank you. On to the next one. So I think something about Valerie that I think I can kind of relate to. Would you say that Valerie kind of being brushed off and, well, kind of rejected by Tom, in Valerie's mind, it isn't just Tom rejecting her, it's every other guy who put her in that similar situation. Hence why, like you said before, her lashing out and getting revenge the way she is now is probably something she's never done before, but it's like a culmination of everything she's been through.
Yeah, I think that is exactly my thought process, is that, you know, when you bottle something up over and over again, it's going to explode. Yes. And I think that's what happened in this situation. I think she's in, when she's done these things, she didn't mean it. That's why I keep saying she didn't. I said the phrase empty threats, and they're not empty, because yeah, she did she did report him, she did get him in trouble. But what I mean is that she didn't really mean it. Like, she does, and this is all my opinion, right?
No. I have my own thoughts, but I'm like, I'll let you finish.
It's that Tom represents everything that has gone wrong in her life. It's not just Tom. And so all of these bottled feelings are coming out towards him. Mm-hmm. And it's not planned. It's not, you know, you can even see in one of the scenes, he says, I'm going to report you. And she's like, what? She never even thought about reporting him. She was trying to deal with this with him. And then she hears that and she's like, no, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to report you.
Oh yeah. Cause he's like, you know what, do it. Cause he had like the pin.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, well then I will. Like, I'm out of control because I'm just hurt, and I'm packaging everything that has happened to me before into Tom. And that's why I don't think that she's a malicious person at all. I think it's just, she's been, you know, she's had some rough, well, we'll see in the second, you got to watch the second half.
You know, I will. Okay. So that's a valid point. I think I forgot about that. The fact that I'm trying to remember the time frame. I think it was when she had the breakdown, when she rushed out of the office to tell Chief, because Tom was going to do it. And I think he told Mike or somebody like he would do it on Monday or something along those lines. But Valerie beat him to the punch. I think that when it comes to Valerie and the way it's like, I'm thinking back to episode 12 when she encountered Tom at the bar, because it felt like, oh, you think I ruined your life now? I'm just getting started. I'm like, yeah, she had this plan. But then it flipped around when Mike recorded her, which I think I told you, I wish that was a plot point that was saved for the meeting with the Chief, in terms of, you know, Valerie in the office and going off like, he did it, Tom this, and then the Chief, who we know who potentially had some cute ones in the past, do her wrong, because right. It felt like even Tom was like, you seem to be taking this very personally. So it would have been such a mic drop moment for Mike to bust in there. Oh, you mean this? It wasn't consensual. So you're saying, but then as you said, she didn't spoil anything, folks. She just said, hey, just wait and see what happens later. So I'm like, okay.
We'll see.
Yeah. So I feel like Valerie, it's like looking at her at the bar versus her at Tom's door. I'm just like, first of all, how did she even know where Tom lived? Like, did they go back to his place that night at the Christmas party? That's my first thought. Not to mention, how did Valerie know about the whole situation in college? Again, I just made up the theory that she possibly hired Leslie from Sisters to look up things.
I love that. You know, I think everybody these days, you can find anything you want on the internet. Like, I feel like you just, Agreed. Like, I don't know though. I think it's interesting what you brought up.
Thanks. Oh, kind of going back all the way to question 3, when it came to the script, I think it's been mentioned in previous interviews I've seen with Tyler Perry cast members that for a lot, not just Tyler Perry, but for a lot of producers and writers, the script is like the skeleton, and then it's kind of up to the actor to put meat on the bones, because sometimes there are ad libs or you go into the mind of your character to really add to it. So that's the best thing I love about my channel, because I can really do these dissections of things that haven't really been confirmed, and sometimes things never get confirmed or even addressed in the show, but it really gives me more of a relatability factor to some of these characters when I kind of put myself into the mind of them, even though it can get dark and twisted sometimes. Because can you imagine when it's like, okay, if I were going to burn down a house with my spouse in it, how would I go about doing it? And I imagine that's how Batman does things, because that dude is not wound all the way tight. But I think that Valerie is the kind of character where I wonder, and that's another thing I think about with the broadcast. it's a small town because it's like everyone knows everybody. Like I think Laura was talking to Mike and saying, "Oh, me and Pam get our nails done at the same place," and she was telling me about you. And then I'm just thinking like the whole Chief and Valerie thing. I'm like, Valerie, I'm like, well, she does seem to kind of be like the person who, if she's going to get you, she's going to get you. And then she's already said she's been in similar situations in the past, similar to Tom, but that doesn't necessarily mean she's been on this huge revenge streak. But I just feel like Valerie's the kind of person where if you cross her, she's going to destroy you by looking into your past. But then again, the Dean's daughter thing, which again I thought was a very nice touch. That was episode 12 when Mike. Wait, episode 11 ended.
11 or 12, because
it was both because she popped up at the end of episode 11 because Mike was drunk and hitting on her, and I was like, hey, no, and it's the Dean's daughter. But then at the beginning of episode 12, that's when they kind of confronted her. I like the idea of, once again, going back to the whole Me Too Time's Up thing. It's like people with accusations can be hurt, and then there are those who didn't mean for it to happen. Again, like you just said with Valerie, she didn't mean to hurt Tom. It's like you have her and Tom with the allegations, and then the Dean's daughter with, technically John took the falls. But I just like the fact that Tyler's covering so many different angles from the same story. And I feel like that's what makes Valerie kind of jump off the page, because I'm like, wait, if Valerie knew about the Dean's daughter, did she go to the same school as Tom? But again, that's just my own brain working in overtime, trying to think of things. But Valerie is just, again, one of those characters where she hasn't even, I feel like if we combine all of her screen time, it probably hasn't even been 10 minutes, but it's just so much to really dissect into it.
Yeah, well, I think she has one scene in each episode she's in one scene, I think.
Yeah, at the hospital with Tom, at the front desk briefly, because she just comes over after Tom gets brushed off, and then with Tom in her breakdown, and then at the bar, and then at Tom's apartment.
Yeah,
I think if I'm right,
that's 6, because I'm in 12 episodes, so 6 in the first half and 6 in the second. So wow. Yeah, it's definitely like a moment here, a moment there. But I wanted her to have an impact, and so she makes the most of her. I mean, her time.
You're my first interview from the Brug. That was technically the second. Okay. Desiree Ross from Greenleaf was my first ever interview on Zoom. It was an audio call though, but you're technically my first really face-to-face interview. So to think that your character plays such a smaller role on the show, but because of our in-depth conversations, this led to an interview, that says a lot, you know? So
yeah, no, I am glad that some of the choices that I made in my head clearly communicated and sparked something in you, that you were interested, because, you know, she's an interesting person. And I think that I really do think the second half of the series is good for, well, let's just,
let's not go too far.
Yeah, but I'm excited to see what people think after they see the next 12 episodes.
And not to mention, I mean, with Ruthless getting a season 2, I mean, I'm thinking Brug would get a season 2. I mean, as far as I know, nothing has been confirmed, but I would think that there will be a season 2.
I haven't heard any. I don't know. I hope so.
Yeah, it's great. But okay, there's some more things I want to add, but let's just kind of move on to the next questions, because I recall one of the cast members from Sisters, they posted a video on their YouTube channel. It was like a 20-minute long video about the filming process in the midst of COVID-19. It was just phenomenal. So we're going back to 2019 now. So the question is, what was your experience like at Tyler Perry Studio? So this is my first time actually visually and audio, hearing from the person themselves instead of a message. So what was it like? I have to know.
It was honestly, you know, that building is called the Dream Building. It felt like a dream. You know, it's everybody, there's so many people at Tyler Perry Studios, and everybody is excited because we film really quickly. So everybody, the moment you're there, you're like, all right, here we go. Like we're working. This is like, we're all going to create this crazy thing together. And we're going to do it really fast. And the only way we can do this really fast is if everybody can almost communicate without talking. Like it felt, being on that set, it was like everybody knew what everyone else was thinking. So it was like a machine. And my experience was, you know, there's like a little gym in the studio. And so I would kind of go there and I just do a little workout, get focused. And then there was this big room that kind of, they set up tables, so it kind of felt like a conference room, but it was a room that was always available for us to go in and run lines. Cause you know, because we're moving so quickly, you have to know your lines. And so we would spend hours in that room. Even on the weekends, we would go in and we would just work. Me and Madi would be working. The four bros, they would be, you know, working. And it felt like everybody was setting you up to have the most, so that you could be the most creative and that you could be the best that you could be. So, but everybody is just so nice. And I don't know, it just felt like, you know, there are people, so there are like maybe 5 people hired that are called readers. So there's this girl Raven who she helped me learn my lines, and it just felt like everybody became family, and that's what it felt like. And it was just special. I don't know. Sorry, I'm going back because this was in October.
Yeah, it's fine. I can't even begin to fathom what it's like. Like even seeing that gala, for example, was just mind blowing. So
oh my gosh. So it's huge, right? We were in the Dream building. So we were in this one building, and we stayed in that building. So we weren't all over the whole set, but it just was pre-COVID, just thinking back to how nice it was to meet all these people. And it's just so, you know, he hires like the most diverse people and sometimes working in LA, you get used to seeing like not a lot of diversity behind the camera. And on his set, you know, you see that. And so it's kind of a breath of fresh air to me, to be able to work with so many people who were working seamlessly and who are all different. And so, so that was what it felt like. In terms of working, you mentioned the script being kind of like a
skeleton
from which so one thing that Tyler Perry does is that he encourages you to keep going. So we'll do the scene, and then he might yell out some new line or some direction, and then you'll just keep going. So he made me feel like I was Valerie and I knew what she would say, and he would give me the space to just keep going. So I think that I'm not crazy part, that was one of those keep going moments.
Yeah, because I could just tell by the delivery and the body language. I'm like, oh yeah, she's really, because I feel like Tom might have been like the first guy to really kind of call her out on it. Like he wasn't the first guy to just kind of roll over and deal with, you know, whatever crap Valerie was throwing his way. So yeah, I can definitely tell that scene took some emotion.
Yeah, it was just, you know, because Tyler Perry, because he's an actor too, right? So he understands what it feels like to be in front of the camera, and obviously he understands that. And so he gives you the freedom to really express yourself. And so not only did I feel like I was in this super like creative bubble where we were going to create something in just a few weeks, but I felt like I had the platform to just, no one was going to tell me I was wrong. It was kind of like being a kid again, where I could just make a decision and go with it. And no one was going to say,
no, do it this way.
Maybe I would get direction, like, okay, let's try it this way, you know, but that to me is not like, no, that's just like, oh, I like what you did. Now let's like add this to it. And that's what it felt like. It was like, let's add this. Now let's add this, instead of being like, no, that was wrong. And so I felt, and also I feel like in a matter of like 3 weeks or whatever it was, those people are my friends for life. Like Madi and I will text, and like Candace, and like, it's just, and Barry, it's just, I don't know, it feels like family. And so I would love if we could all get back together again. But you know, it was really one of the best experiences I've ever had as an actor.
That's great. I mean, that's one of my favorite parts when you see characters from these other shows who are like fighting and, you know, trying to shoot at each other. But when you see the behind the scenes stuff and like the social media where they're hanging out, it's like, I think that a few of the cast from the Haves and the Have-Nots in over the years have said, going to Tyler Perry Studios for like the couple of weeks or a month, however long it took to film, it was basically like summer camp. You know, they
Yeah,
get
that's what it
together.
feels like.
Wow. I mean, just I can actually just feel that from what you were saying. I really like that. And in the idea that you're meeting these people in a fast-paced work environment. But I think what really stood out to me was the fact that it really does feel like people have your back. You know, like they're there to make you shine. But at the same time, it's like, okay, it's not just a business, but we have a very kind of, you know, close-knit kind of family atmosphere. Not to mention, I think it's been said, you know, like does Tyler Perry kind of like lead prayer before every day of filming?
Yeah, so at the very beginning we have a quick prayer before we get started, and it's just it's family. It's he makes it feel like you're all family, which to me is a weight off my back when sometimes you feel a lot of pressure in certain, you know, you never know. And when you feel like everybody's there for you and you're there for them, then you're going to be a better actor. You're just going to do better because no one is like going to fire you for, you know, you feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm not being super clear. I'm trying to say that when I feel supported, that's when I do my best. And that was probably, you know, one of the most supportive environments I've ever acted in.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because it's almost like when you think about how the atmosphere at Tyler Perry Studios is compared to other previous experiences on different studio sets, like not just the diversity, but that's not to say other experiences you've had might not have had that family element, but it sounds like with the Tyler Perry Studios experience, it was just something that was completely different.
Yeah, and like I don't think I've had any like terrible experiences on set, but this just felt, sometimes, you know, when you go to work, sometimes it's not, sometimes your work, it just feels like work.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes it's like it's work plus family, and that's the slight difference that I had with these people. And so, but maybe it's just because I had more time with them, you know, and I was in you know, but it was, you know, from like the people who drove me to set to the readers, to the mic person, to everybody, it was just like we were all there for the same reason, and we all wanted each other to succeed. So
yeah,
it was good.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's just like, you know, thinking about being at Liberty, which was a Christian university. It was kind of like a bubble. And my hometown is 50 minutes away, Halifax County, which is basically like a very small town. Walmart is our mall, just to kind of put in perspective of how small a town it is. So I would remember like coming home from like spring break or summer, and it's like the language people use, the clothes they wear. I'm like, I'm not in Kansas anymore. It's like a whole nother experience. So just being in the work environment makes a lot of sense too, where you know, just thinking back to the old job, in some aspects, I think there are some people I miss more than the job itself. But that just goes to show, like, when you go through tough times with people you see on a 5-day-a-week basis, it makes sense why you would connect with them so much. So I hope that, you know, if there is a Bruh season 2, and again, I don't know what happens to Valerie in the back half of season 1, but I just feel like, you know, the past interviews I've seen, like Have and Have Nots, If Loving You Is Wrong, and all these other shows, they'll be like, you know, I might not have seen this person since the last time we filmed, but when we got back together, boom, it was like we just picked up where we left off. So just hearing that family element definitely is encouraging. And this is from a guy who just really talks about the shows. So to actually kind of get a peek behind the curtain, I think that's really amazing.
Yeah, it's you know, it's I feel like I'm rambling, but it is just like a dream. It's like it's a special thing that you value because you don't get to do it all the time. So.
No. Especially because I'm thinking, like, you know, with the post-pandemic closings, basically the reopening of Tyler Perry Studios. I'm trying to fathom how much work did he put on hold considering how quickly he goes through things? So it's almost like I mean, he wrapped up Sisters early, I believe, by like a couple of days. They're doing the Oval now. Then I believe it's Ruthless, and then after that, I don't know what schedule, but I'm pretty sure it's something big. So I just can't even imagine during the quarantines and whatnot how much the man wrote.
I know.
I mean, he probably wrote a bruh movie for all we know. But okay, I know this question actually isn't on this list here, but don't worry, it's not spoiler territory. But kind of going based off that post I made, would you have any interest in like a potential Sisters or bruh crossover? And if so, what role do you think Valerie would be able to play?
Well, yes, the crossover idea is interesting to me because they do kind of exist in the same, it feels like it's a similar town, right? Because
yeah, I always use the phrase same universe. I know it's comic booky, but crossovers get ratings. Look at the CW show.
I love the idea that like me caring for one of, you know, the injured people in the hospital and Sisters, or like, or just bringing their drama into ours, like, and vice versa. I think it opens up so much. That would be, you know, something that I'd be really interested in. And it's so interesting seeing your ideas, because I'm like, gosh, I never would have thought of that. Like, I never would have thought, like, maybe, these people, maybe I think you said something about Candace going to school.
Karen salon, because she has a salon. So it's like, what if like Regina, Valerie, Pam, they get their hair done? It could be at Karen's place.
Yeah, and so that, like, that type of thing. The restaurants are the same, I think.
No,
not that far.
Freddie P's is in Sisters, and bruh, I don't think they've ever said the name of the establishment. I know that what is it called? Level
48.
Level 48. I mean, the guy who owned it, that sold it to Barry, I did a video on this. The guy who sold it to Barry's name was Freddie. I'm like, okay, in Sisters, we got Freddie P's. That's the establishment that Alonzo owns. Who's to say that in his younger days, Level 48 and Freddie P's were both owned by Freddie? And as he got older, he's like, okay, Alonzo's a retired ball player. He wants to start an establishment, so I'll sell Freddie P's to him. And now I've gotten to the point where I can't run these clubs anymore. I'll sell Level 48 to Barry. So I think that could be continuity, right? See, this is the kind of stuff that goes on in my head, because I feel like it would be a benefit to both shows, because and they don't even have to be massive crossovers. That's the beauty of it. Like, not every single character has to appear in every other, you know, show episode. Like again, Valerie could pop into the hospital and check on Jasmine, or
just for a moment. Yeah, I love that. I think
it would increase the interest for bruh and add to more BET Plus subscribers. But yeah.
Right. I like the way you think. I mean, I think that it would be interesting. It would add so many different storylines, you know, new relationships, new everything, new opportunities to hear gossip. And like, I just see Valerie being, you know, picking up things at the bank, or like hearing what they're talking about, and just, it's something I'd be interested in for sure.
Yeah, because I think Valerie kind of gives me those traits of Danny. I feel like Danny is the more, you know, vengeful revenge girl of Sisters, and I feel like Valerie could a little bit more subtle than Danny, but at the same time, I could see their characters kind of, you know, getting along just fine. It's like, girl, let me tell you what you need to do. You need to slash his tires. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do that, girl. That's what I'm going to
laugh, by the way. She's so funny.
I mean, she's kind of, I remember watching the first episode of Sisters, and I feel like Danny's character was like, she's kind of like the Medea of the Sisters crew.
Yeah.
That's the vibe I got from her.
Yeah, her name is Mignonne, I think. If I'm pronouncing it right. I watched that, and I had to look her up on Instagram, because I was like, she is so funny. She's so talented.
Again, just looking at the cast of like Sisters and bruh, I feel like with Tyler Perry, you have 4 titular characters, but they all have different personality traits, which I feel helps them, again, become more relatable. Because I remember when Sisters was first advertised, people were like, are you going to review it? And I'm like, well, it's like a female-driven show, so I don't really know what I can contribute to the conversation. But when I watched the first episode, I'm like, oh, I can relate to this in certain ways. So same thing with bruh. When I watched bruh, I was
going to say, like, hopefully women feel the same way about bruh. that you do about sisters. Like, I think there's everything in it for both.
Yeah, I was cringing during the first moments of Bruh when I think the first several minutes were focusing on Alice and John at the sandwich shop, and
Yeah.
like he got rejected by that one girl, and I'm like, oh, this is like I'm seeing myself in this role, and then Alice was just digging the knife in even deeper. So, and this is pre-YouTube, Jeremy, so this is before I had what I have now. So I'm just like kind of like Valerie. It's like when I get rejected, I'm like, I'm done. You know what? I put myself out there. I'm going to just focus on my own thing. And then so the feelings stay bottled up. But of course, I never gotten anybody fired or suspended. But just
Well, good. Let's keep that up.
hence why, again, don't date coworkers. And plus, since I'm, self-employed and doing this thing by myself, I'm pretty sure I can't get myself in trouble. But I have to ask, when it comes to the climate we're in right now with the whole COVID pandemic and the different regulations and the closings and slowly reopenings of these production studios, are there any projects that you're currently working on at the moment?
I'm just auditioning, and it's so funny because this whole period, because there's not that much in production, has been really up and down. So sometimes I'll be like, oh, I have like a couple auditions this week. That's different. And then some weeks I won't have anything. And it's really been a process of trying to think about how I can create things for myself. So I have not been much of a writer in the past, but I've started using this time to be like, all right, I have stories in my head. I read so many scripts because of acting. Like, I should be able to know how to write one after all the scripts I've read. Yeah. So that's kind of been my project on the side, and otherwise I'm just auditioning. But I am so lucky that I did film a movie in February, which is it's called Happiest Season. It's a Christmas movie. Okay. It's supposed to come out in November. I'm not sure because of what's happening with movie. I just don't know what their plan is, but it's it's a really good movie that I had a lot of fun filming, and the leads are Mackenzie Davis and Kristen Stewart. So it's a big movie, and we filmed it in Pittsburgh, and I had a really, really good experience doing that. So hopefully that'll get the recognition it deserves, because I think, I hope that it comes out and everybody watches it, because it's just got a lot of good messages. So I did that in February. We got that in before everything shut down. Like 2 weeks after I got home from filming that was when everything shut down. And yeah, there were a couple things I did last year that there were talks of another season. Like, I did this Disney short form show called Shook. Yeah, it's called Shook.
That's what it was. I did research for the interview. I'm like, wait a minute. You were like a talent.
Yeah, I was a talent agent.
Yeah.
And so, I'm hoping that, things like that after the shutdown ends will be back in action. So, but right now, no, I'm just kind of working on myself, I guess.
Yeah, that's honestly one of the few good things about it, because people are really learning how to recreate themselves and learn things that it's almost like, you have to become more self-sufficient. Because I'm noticing a lot more people on social media than they were in the past. Or, I mean, like, even going on Instagram, sometimes people are like, hey, you did a YouTube live, are you doing Instagram live? I'm like, nah, because every time I flip it on, it's like 30 people doing live streams. Like, ain't nobody going to watch me. So I just go over to YouTube. So I just love the fact that people are, starting their channels, starting their podcasts, starting their blogs or whatever, just to really kind of really branch out and do things they never really did before. And going back to the Christmas movie, just the idea of, it is a question of what will theaters look like when it comes to the end of the year. Will they even be reopened, or will it be released on digital? But I will say this, movies that have been released on digital or, on demand, they've been doing pretty decently. Like, more people have been, watching them than opposed to if it was just released in the theaters. So
interesting. Okay, well that makes me happy, because our movie, because it's a Christmas movie, it can't be pushed 3 months. It's got to come out now or next Christmas, or it's got to come out around the holidays. So yeah, I don't know what their plans are, but it's one that shouldn't be missed. So I hope it gets out there.
But yeah, I know that what was it? The Trolls World Tour. That was
Yeah.
like the first
Did that do well?
big one that blew up. Then they released Scoob.
Scoob. I watched that and I loved it because as a kid, I loved Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
So I watched that
Which
movie.
one was better? Scooby-Doo, Where Are You, or A Pup Named Scooby-Doo?
Are those both the old ones?
Well, A Pup
I
Named
watched like the
Scooby-Doo-
TV. I definitely remember seeing the movies as a kid, but I was more about the TV show. Like I would get up at 6 a.m. to like watch
If you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 29.
28. So we're in the same range. So how about that? This will really break down the Scooby discussion. A Pup Named Scooby was like in 89, I believe. I just remember it having one of the
We weren't born.
and it was on Cartoon Network. And then Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? That was like the first OG one. Because I mean, there's been like 30 different variations of the cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean,
I just remember. So there were a couple movies, but then it was mainly just about the TV show, right? They were like season after season after season after season.
You had the 2 live actions, then you had a bunch of made-for-TV movies. Oh, here's how I can split the 2 up. You got Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? A Pup Named Scooby-Doo is when they were kids.
Okay.
On Cartoon Network, that was the one. And I remember then you had like the new Scooby-Doo movies, and you had the Scooby and Scrappy show. It was like 4. Then you had Wacky Racers, then you had all the various, the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. But I think one of my favorite, Zombie Islands, because that was the first time they were real ghosts. I'm like, okay, this is awesome.
I can't remember any of the specifics, but I know as a kid that I sat there like watching all of them, and I thought that I wasn't gonna like this new movie because it looks so different, but it was good.
It was good. I mean, the fact that when California Love came on as soon as the movie started, I'm like, whoa, what kind of movie is this? Did I order the right thing? But I do feel like, not to get too off topic, it was good for what it was, but it felt more of a beginning of a Hanna-Barbera universe than a Scooby-Doo movie. Because they were just so, if you grew up watching all those cartoons like Adam Ant and, Captain Caveman and Speed Buggy, then, and Blue Falcon, there were a ton of references. But at the end of the day, it's like, it didn't feel like the Scooby-Doo I knew growing up. But then again,
no, it didn't. But it was interesting. I was like surprised, but maybe I went into it just thinking this isn't going to be the Scooby-Doo I know. Like,
the hard part about doing this stuff for a living, it's impossible to watch something for enjoyment without being critical of it.
I feel that way as an actor. I watch things and I'm like, oh, I see what she did there, or look at that camera angle. Like, you can never really relax.
Do you know the stress of trying to have timeline continuity when reviewing these shows? Like when Ruthless came out, and I did like a 90-minute video breaking down why it makes no sense timeline wise. The cast loved it, but it broke my brain. I was at like 4 a.m. putting it together. So when I saw Andy in the preview for Bruh, I'm like, no. Don't do this to me. Is this pre-Sisters? Is this after season 1 where she potentially gets her job back? Her and Mike work in the same office. So don't, like the crossover post I did. Oh, I'm all for it. But if it doesn't make sense continuity wise, I will lose it. But I'll still be cheering for it, but I'll be losing it.
It'll be, it already is complicated. So I feel like you would lose it.
Oh yeah, I would. But I mean, I think I even had a couple spin-off ideas from like the Haves and the Have-Nots back in the day. And I think that was one of the first times I had cast members directly contact me. Hey, I just saw your video about this and that, and I love it. I'm like, what? Because I mean, for one, I feel like they loved it because that means extra work for them, which would be awesome. I'm thinking to myself, I mean, can a brother get a cameo, even if it's like a gangster just shot in the back?
Have you ever done acting?
Nope.
Do you want to? Do you like acting?
Acting a fool, I've done that before, but like
you've done your parody videos, so.
I mean, yeah, I will say in terms of acting, okay, do you watch The Oval? Or
I've seen a couple episodes. I haven't seen all of it.
Okay, because I know like the penultimate episode, because they had a 2-episode finale last week. One of the characters, I'm not going to spoil it because you haven't seen it, but one of the characters, this is what hurt me. The week prior, I actually was able to go on an Instagram live with her for like 5 minutes. And because she recognized me as the HAHN, but she didn't know who I was as a person, we kind of had a connection there. And I'm not trying to say like a Valerie and Tom thing here, but I just felt like she all right. But then something happened to her and I lost it. I did a live stream and I was crying. I was like, I
Oh
can't
my
believe it.
gosh.
So can I act? I don't know. I've never tried. People ask me all the time.
We won't spoil it, but I think I know what happened to her.
Yeah. And anyway, so people are like, yo, what if Tyler Perry called you up? Well, I don't know how I would react because I've never been in that situation before. I've been like the YouTube, okay, the blogging aside, the YouTube thing I'm coming up, okay, it's July, October 17th will mark 3 years of me doing this full time. So it's one of those situations where I honestly could not even begin to fathom what it would be like to either get that phone call or email or even act like what would I be able to do? So I just feel like the one thing I will say, the man knows how to create opportunity. The question is, are you able to rise to the occasion? Like with the Jeffrey Owens thing, I was blown away. Like, you know, not only did he create a character for him in the haves and the have-nots, but Jeffrey Owen still got it. So I don't know. Before Valerie, had you ever thought about working with Tyler Perry?
I mean, I would have been like I auditioned for some of his projects in the past, but this was my first one where I got to the, you know, producer session where he's actually there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wait, why am I surprised? He writes, produces, directs. Of course he's there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's funny. It's just funny how your life works out. Like, I would have never dreamed that I would get to work with him, that he would direct me. Yeah. I mean, it just feels like pinch me. Sometimes even as a person who I've worked now I've been working here, and it still sometimes feels like, is this a dream? Like, you know, is this real? I don't know if I'll ever be one of those people who's like, oh yeah, I did this and that. Like, I am great. You know what I mean? It's more so like, oh my God, me. I feel that way. I feel it's definitely like a childlike feeling of excitement and surprise and just, you know, like they picked me. But it's also something that over time, like as you said, you have to be ready for it. So you can't just be I don't know, there's two sides to this business. You have to be really good at what you do, but I also think it's important to be still have humility. Is that the word? Where you're just like grateful, I guess. Feeling really grateful and feeling very aware that it could have been somebody else, but they chose you.
Exactly.
And so, no, I never dreamed that I would get to work with Tyler Perry, but
it seems like Disneyland, but with actors.
It does, yeah. But like it's real and it's your life, and how cool is that? So, yeah, you know, I watch a lot of it. I love Taraji, by the way. So,
I mean,
have you seen Acrimony?
Yeah, I actually have like 3 copies of the DVD right here I need to give away. I remember I went to theaters to see it.
Yeah, I think I watched it on my at home, but she is just, I don't know, she's amazing. She inspires me.
I mean, to just think that a lot of the big name actors now kind of got their big breaks with
a lot of them did it. Yeah.
Because I remember on one live stream, a person was like, what's your favorite Tyler Perry movie or play? And I pulled up the list. I'm like, that movie, Daddy's Little Girl, came out here, and I Can Do Bad All By Myself this year. It's just mind-blowing. And to be on Tyler Perry Studios lot, like you said, I would just feel, I don't want to use the word giddy. I feel like that's too feminine.
No, but giddy.
I'll feel like butterflies. Because, yeah, I wouldn't be able to, like, I would lose it, because I always say this. If I ever had the opportunity to go to Tyler Perry Studios and go to like just one place, it would be outside of the Oprah Soundstage studio where he has the stars of all the cast members and whatnot. That would just blow my mind, because I cannot get over the fact that he had his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame on October the 1st. Then that weekend, he gave that opportunity to so many cast members who, some of which were saying, I thought it was too late for me to have my star, and now I got one. So I mean, I just imagine if Bruh is kind of a long-running series at some point, you know, the Oval, Sisters, Bruh, Ruthless, your stars might be out there someday as well. And you can always say, hey, I was here. Like this is real. So I thought that's just amazing. So I know during the interview when you kept saying, you know, I'm rambling. I'm like, no, go on. Like I can't even begin to think of what I would say if I had the opportunity. And like if somebody, hey, Jeremy, we're actually filming season 2 of The Oval right now. I've never been on a plane before. I'm very sheltered. I haven't really went out. I've never been on a plane. I'll be like, I don't really do heights. Well, we got a role for you right now. But I'm like, I'm a person, I'll come up with like 1,000 excuses, but I'll be like, nah, I better go. It's like, I better get on down there, see what's up. But I would think that, hey, we're going to have you be a patient in the hospital just sitting there. Okay, oh, I'll do it. But like you said, you just got to be ready, because I just love the fast-paced environment at Tyler Perry Studios. But just knowing that people got your back, which will make you a better actor in the long run, no wonder you come out with so many great products at the end of the day. So yeah. I really love that.
Yeah, me too.
But I think that, Bruh, I know that, I don't know. I feel like I would have liked it more if we had maybe like 2 episodes. Again, this is like distribution stuff. So this behind the scenes stuff, I have no thought, real information on. I would have liked if we got maybe like 2 episodes a week, because when we got 3 during week 1, I watched it 5 times back to back to back. Because it was just so good.
Yeah, I know it is hard because I binge watch things. Like it's nice to be like, oh, I get to sit down. But I guess now people who haven't seen Bruh but are listening to this, they should go get their free trial, right? Because it's
7 days. I mean, 7 days it used to be 5. I think
really?
I think it used to be 5.
You can binge watch that, no problem. So,
I mean, okay, so let me do the quick math here. That's 12 episodes, each one about 21 minutes each. So give or take, that's 4-ish hours.
Not bad at all.
Yeah,
that's
there we go.
4 hours. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 3 an hour.
Mm-hmm. And then the fact that, like I said, they're kind of bite-sized. So right when it's like, because I will say this, I know Tyler Perry gets flack for some, like, oh, he's just the same thing over and over again. He is the king of cliffhangers.
Like, yes. Sometimes.
Go ahead.
No, just sometimes, because, I read the script a while ago. Mm-hmm. So I would be watching and I would forget. I'd be like, what? It ended like at that. Also, it's just like, it's just so funny because like you read it, but you don't necessarily see all the scenes that you're not in.
Yes.
So watching it, I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's just, yeah, he's good at that. He knows what he's doing, but the cliffhangers, and then you have to wait a whole week.
I know, and especially when it's just one episode, it's like, it was just getting good. Because it's like, what gets me is like, if we spend the first 7 to 10 minutes in the same location, I'm like, don't do this to me, Tyler. I know what you're doing. Because I know when we get to those last 2 minutes, it's going to go like, and I'm like, okay, now I got to wait until next week to do it. But I think that, Bruh, if it was like 2 or 3 episodes a week, that would have been fantastic, because I would have easily watched through it, because the relatability, because, okay, I know that sometimes, you all don't like film things in order. Sometimes it's like, kind of all over the place as well, which obviously works into the fast machine, like assembly line of production that it seems like. When it came to John, I think this was one of my first big discussion videos on John. I like you ask your bros for 500 grand. Well, I don't even think he said the amount, because it was 200 grand for the sandwich shop, then 500,000 for the club, and then you get mad at them. And I love how Alice shut it down. Of course, as the series went on, we learned why John felt somewhat entitled. But what side of the fence were you on in that discussion? I was on the, John, you don't even have a business plan. Your bros already lent you this money. You haven't really paid them back $20 a month. So what makes them think that, oh, we're going to give you even more money to open the club when we haven't seen a return from the sandwich shop?
No, I'm with you. I feel like I would, if that was me, if that was a friend asking me that, I'd probably be like, no. Yeah. But, he's a dreamer. He's the one in the group he's outside the box. And sometimes it takes 10 years for somebody who's outside of the box to make that money that someone who is more traditional would make. It's kind of like being an artist. It's like you You don't know. You love something, you have a passion, you try and you try and you try, but you don't know when it's going to pay off, and it could never pay off.
I can relate to that because I was doing videos for about a year before I actually got monetized. I mean, I didn't even know you can make money from YouTube, to be honest. I grew up in the middle of nowhere where we had dial-up. My first semester of college was online doing dial-up. I have no idea how I made the dean's list from that one semester. I'm like, oh, but when I went to campus and experienced high speed, oh, YouTube nonstop. So I remember my roommate was like, hey, you already got like what, a few 100,000 views. Why don't you see to get monetized? I remember the first time I got approved like halfway through June. So it was only like $400. I'm like, whoa, I can make money talking about this stuff. And then it slowly got bigger and bigger. And then in October, I quit my job. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to see what happens. If I fall on my face, then I'll just get another job. But it turned out to be the right decision. And who knew the first video I did that really blew up was a rant video.
What was it?
Pokemon. Ash lost to Pokemon. He made it to the finals for the first time and he lost. When I tell you I went in, that video got like 30,000 hits in like a day. I'm like, what?
Pokemon.
I was mad because, okay, don't go into rant mode, Jeremy. Okay, basically, first time in like, this was 20 years he made it to the finals of the league. You had fans coming back to the show. I had friends from back in like middle school, high school. Yo, man, I know I quit watching the show years ago, but he's in the finals, and then he loses. So I did that rant video, and little did I know that video was the spark that would have started the channel the way it is now. So, hey.
That's awesome.
Got to catch them all, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I know aside from acting, is there anything else you do on the side, or is this like, you know, your full-time and, you know, all time?
Yeah, this is my full-time thing. I was literally, you know, what month? August. So last year, you know, I've been in LA for 4 years, and almost exactly a year ago is when I started getting a lot of jobs. And so it's funny, you can try, audition all the time. You feel like you're doing nothing right, and then all of a sudden you get all these jobs. So last year I started getting all these jobs in a row. You know, I was able to make it full time. So for the past year, almost about a year now, I've been full time as an actor, which is amazing. But before that, no, I worked in a restaurant, and I worked in a sports bar actually. So I could keep my 9 to 5 free for auditions, and then I would go to work. And if I had an audition, I would have to stay up to like 2 in the morning trying to learn it after, you know, just the classic story of, you know, keeping your days free as an actor. You just have to find a way to keep those days free, because otherwise I think it's easy to get lost and forget the reason you came here.
Oh, I can't even imagine. I've never been to the West Coast either. So I mean, there must be like so many.
Come to LA.
I actually have some friends who moved out to LA at some point after college and whatnot, and they're like, "Bro, you got 100,000. Come on out to LA." I'm like, I don't know how that would work, but at some point I will. But y'all, there's a lot of earthquakes over there. So
we just had one. We had one like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I woke up.
Was it just one or multiple ones? Cause I
yeah.
Saw...
So there was one. It was 4:30 in the morning that I woke up and I was like, earthquake. And then there were some aftershocks, but it wasn't, you know, nothing fell over. It was just kind of like, it was kind of like, this is how it felt.
Oh gosh. I know for me, it would be LA. Everybody like, I got family members, go to Georgia. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not how it works. What am I supposed to do? Hey, I'm the guy that critiques all your shows. Give me a job. I don't think it works out that way, Tyler. But I mean, for me, the one thing about my channel though, I don't do rants like that, because when I say something is like, you know what, I think it should have been different, but I'll add on to it. You know, I'm not just, that's the one thing I refuse to do. Like, there are a bunch of shows, people are like, Jeremy, if you review it, I know your channel will blow up. But if I don't feel attached to the show, I'm not going to talk about the show, because at that point, this will feel like a job instead of something that I love to do. So whenever I do reviews and whatnot, I'll talk about the things I like, talk about the things I don't like, but then I'll add on to, here's how I think the story can go in the future, which makes the channel stand out, because there are just way too many people out there who just rant and rant and rant. It's easy to rant. It's easier to critique than it is to do. And then when I just look at the Tyler Perry model of how he does things, it's like, it works. I mean, I always say sometimes when I'm even saying critique, like, hey, at the end of the day, I'm a guy in my room talking about a show. He's running a freaking studio, putting out amazing projects. And the thing is, there's something for everyone. Like there might be a show that's catering to women versus a show of bruh and sisters. But at the end of the day, hopefully I can show an example of, hey, there's something here for everybody. Like the main characters and sisters are female, but there are some important lessons for male to learn. Same thing with bruh. You know, it's a male-led cast, but interview with a female cast member because it taught me a few things. So I really do think that it's just amazing. I believe he just turned 50 last year, Tyler Perry.
Really?
I think so. And it's just like he's 50, but I feel like there's just so much more.
So much more. I mean, it's just, I remember seeing, I think it was an Instagram post that he posted sometime last year where he had all the scripts, remember?
It was the beginning of this year, and he talked about how he did it all himself. And I remember that it was a big deal online.
Yeah, and it's just like, I mean, it's crazy. I think that some people are almost superhuman in that, you know, they just create, and then they make it happen. So it's not like he's just writing it. Then he films it, he directs it, it's awesome to see because it inspires me. I'm like, okay, well maybe I'll try and write something or learn how to do this, and like you have all these ideas, maybe you'll try and write something, you know what I mean? Like
I was about to say people have suggested, I think it was
you
Kelly
should, because you have all these great ideas.
Yeah, people like, why don't you try to do work in TV? I actually took screenwriting at Liberty. I took a couple classes. It was when they first got the program. So I mean, this was back where we had like a draw. I think there was like a dry eraser board. This before there were any cameras or anything. A director from, I forget the director's name, but I think he worked in Hollywood. He was the professor for like all the classes, and I learned like the structure of it and everything. I even got a lot of I even have music video ideas for some of the songs I wrote, but that never really took off. But who knows? So,
who knows? You might come back to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where I don't know where I'm going to be in like the next 3 years or whatever. I mean, look, I'm trying to make it to the end of 2020. It's wild out there.
I know.
But
I can't even think past. I'm just like, what is this month? Okay, August. Let's go with August. I can't even think to the holidays because I want to so badly go home, but I just don't know if that, you know, I try not to think about it because I'm like, I don't know what the options are.
Yeah, I mean, I turned 29 on August 29th. Everybody's like, what are your plans?
Your golden birthday.
I know, right? Same day as Michael Jackson. I know, I love it. I just every birthday. Billie Jean, awesome. I know, that's why I hate it as a kid, because it's like, why isn't my name on TV? It's always Michael, but then it's like, oh, okay, it's Michael Jackson, duh. But I just remember everybody's like, what are you going to do for your birthday? It's like, I have no plans at this point. I'm just trying to make it. I don't know.
I know.
I think that if anything else, like this year has definitely taught a lot of lessons, you know, in terms of what I was saying before, doing a lot of things that you never thought you would be capable of doing, which honestly, the last question here, and for everybody watching, I will definitely put the links to Caroline's social media in the top comment section below, and I will put it on the screen as well at the end when I do some editing. But aside from Instagram, are there any other social media platforms you're on that you would like people to know about?
You know, Instagram is like the only one I really use. I have a Facebook page, which is almost the same handle as my Instagram, but it has an L, so it's Carol Hart Harris instead of Carol Hart Harris for Facebook. And on there, I used to do these videos with this comedian in LA. His name is D-Lay. And so that's where we put, have you heard of him?
Were they in a car?
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of those.
So that's where I put them. They are on my Facebook. But Instagram is Carol Hart Harris. That's where, you know, Hartfield's my middle name, if anyone's wondering why it's Hart, but not spelled like a heart. Just because Caroline Harris is everybody's name, it seems. But Instagram is where I kind of keep people posted about what projects I'm working on. And yeah, that's the place where you can see the most of me. But those skits that I did with D-Lay are on my Facebook.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know your middle name is Hartfield. I'm thinking about Valerie has a very tortured heart on Bruh. And so far, you know, from all your acting experiences, I know you really just talked a lot about the Tyler Perry one because it's hard to contain that in like a small story. What has been your favorite one so far?
they're all so different. It's hard to say what my favorite. You know what's funny is that uh, sometimes the smaller ones are maybe your favorite just because you feel a little bit more like you can mess around. So there was this short film that I made a year and a half ago, which is about, it's a comedy, and it's about this guy who has this whole theory. It's called Toother. So it's about this guy who has this theory that that basically, you know how people have these theories about the government? He has these theories about dentists, and this whole theory that people sell you all this toothpaste and all this stuff and you spend all this money at the dentist when really you could take care of your teeth for like $5, but this is another industry that's just cheating you. But it's a comedy. That was one of my favorite things I ever made, and I think it is available online. I'm gonna find it, and maybe I'll post it,
Okay.
post the link, because that was one of my favorite things. But the Tyler Perry thing was one of my favorite. Working on this big movie in February was one of my favorite things. It was directed by Clea Duvall, so she is an actress, but she also, that was her first film that she was directing, her first feature. I believe it's her first feature. And there's something about working with, you don't often get the chance to work with female directors, you know, or at least I haven't. It was one of the first times where I worked, and I feel like she saw us, you know, and she there was that supportive element from her, in a way that, you know, it sometimes feels rare. And so it was a really special thing to work on such a big movie with her when it was her first big movie that she's directing. So that would be one of my favorite ones, Tyler Perry and that short film.
Nice. I mean, it kind of sounds like, you know, like when you would have a special teacher back in school, especially like if it was a teacher or professor, it's like their first time teaching a class. It's almost like you're growing together. Like they're
Yeah.
learning how to present it and teach, and you're learning how to learn from their style. So yeah, it's almost like, you know, in the acting game, it really is like going to a new school, meeting new friends
That's
behind.
what it is. It's every time you're going to a new school and you're like, uh-oh, I hope the teacher is nice, or I hope the
Yeah.
teacher likes me and supports me. And you find out on the first day if that happens. And so I've been lucky that I have not had one terrible experience, but certainly some are warmer than others.
Nice. Oh, not to mention the whole thing about, wow, I'm going to a new school. I get to be somebody completely different. I get to reinvent myself. Yeah, pretty sure that's how acting is.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. But I do think that just the fact that the blessing of having produced and directed content before COVID is definitely something to be happy about. I know a lot of people have said how much they're like, thank goodness we wrapped up right before
Oh
everything
my
shut.
gosh. That's how I feel about that movie. I'm like, because looking back, it was definitely in the United States by February, just we didn't know about it.
Oh
Really.
yeah, like it really didn't blow up until about mid-March.
In
Yeah.
March. Yeah. So I am so grateful I got that in, got a couple other things in, you know. So yeah, I feel excited about what's gonna come out for the things that I've done, and then hopefully by next year we're back, because
Yeah.
I'm itching to create something again. So
Oh, that feeling. I mean, that's the best part about the video ideas. Like when it comes to like the Greenleaf stuff, there are videos I made in 2019 that are making the most money on the channel right now. So it's like some of those random theories I made are blowing up. And that feeling when a cast member shares a video is like, it just blows my mind because I never expected, because I'm not really used to that kind of feedback from people. Like
yeah.
sometimes when there's like, there have been plenty of times where cast members have like, they would hit me up after something big happened in the show. Hey, you did this theory 6 months ago. I wanted to say something, but I couldn't do it. So that's why the thing was, when I talked about Valerie, it's like I really wanted to focus more on the Valerie that we've seen and my thoughts on what she's possibly been through, compared to like, okay, here's what I think she's going to do next. Except for, you know, possibly cutting or shooting Tom, because, well, you know, it's BET Plus. He's a little bit more edgier on there. Like Ruthless, my gosh, that show.
I've heard that. Yeah.
The best thing that, okay, no, I think Ruthless is the best thing Tyler Perry's put out in his Viacom era, because it was so out of left field. It reminded me of when he started on the OWN network. He did something fans never expected. We're used to Tyler Perry being Medea, the comedic guy, but when he came out with the haves and the have-nots, it was a game changer.
Yeah.
A daytime soap, but at night. So I feel the same way with The Oval and Sisters, the Oval definitely gave off Too Close to Home and Have Not vibes. Sisters, I know the thing about Sisters, a lot of people are saying, oh, this is just living single or girlfriends, but when you watch it, it's not. It's something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you watch Bruh, same kind of feel, like, you know, the theme song, I mean, it gave me Martin vibes the first time.
Yeah, no, it does, doesn't it? And the intro and everything.
Not to mention you have a character named Regina, and then you have a character named Pam, and I'm like, oh, I see what you did there. Okay, I see what you did, Tyler Perry. So, I mean, what character from Martin would you think Valerie potentially, do you think, I feel like she got a little bit of, I feel like Alice has more Shanae, will Valerie have a little bit of sprinkle there? A little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, gosh, all these shows, honestly, my memory of things is just like when I'm trying to talk about Scooby-Doo, I'm like, can I remember anything about the show other than the fact that I liked it? No, but I see Valerie as that type of character, that type of person has appeared throughout like the canon, I feel like, over and over again, and it's I'm trying to think of, I can't think of a name, but I see qualities of her everywhere.
Trying to think too.
I don't know.
That's a difficult, I mean, I will admit, I might have to take your what, you were born in 90, correct?
91.
Not the same here. So
but I mean, I can watch stuff from before I was born, but I'm just like,
I feel like I need to revoke your 90s card for not being able to remember much about Scooby-Doo. I mean, I feel like that's a big deal.
I know, I watched Scooby-Doo. I don't know why, I can't even remember the names of the movies. I'm trying to remember. I remember that one.
Fair. What do you mean, like the live action or the cartoon ones?
The cartoon. I watched the cartoons.
Okay, because I mean, the movies, like Scooby-Doo became the land before time. They just put out way too many movies, and I hated them. I only like the first three. Zombie Island, and I'm talking like, you know,
was real people. That was live action.
That was it was an anime. It was like the first animated Scooby-Doo, but with real monsters, the zombies and the cat monsters. It's on Netflix. Definitely go watch it to refresh.
Okay, because I'm struggling to remember, because now I'm like, I feel like I only watched the cartoons. I don't think I watched any live action.
Yeah, it was Zombie Island, Witch's Ghost.
Witch's Ghost might be the one where there's like Earth, Wind, Fire, that one.
The Hex Girls, yes.
Yeah, see, I was like,
wait, Goth Girls are awesome. I never knew that. Alien Invaders, and then you had Cyber Chase, and those are the only ones I recognize. After them, I'm like, no, they get weird. Because I know What's New Scooby-Doo came out next, and I really didn't get it. But Mystery Incorporated was a very good one. I was surprised.
All this is just over my head, because I'm like, I do not remember.
Like a mid 2010 series, and it's on, I think, Netflix, I believe.
Okay, then I definitely didn't see it.
Oh yeah, because I know I watched it like 3 years ago, and I'm like, as an adult, it's kind of like watching the Justice League cartoons and Batman when I was a kid. I only watch it for the action, but as an adult, I can appreciate the story, arcs, and writing, which again goes back to how I cannot watch anything without overthinking it. But then again, that actually is a good thing, because I can appreciate.
It's a good thing, right? I think there's always more, and there's always something underneath. And I think the writers and actor, I mean, as an actor, I appreciate it, because it's like, sometimes people only see the surface, which is fine, but when you see what is underneath, it's, as I said before, it's like, it's validating to me, because it's like, oh, the choices I made are clear, and they inspired somebody to think about something that I was also thinking about, or maybe something I didn't even realize but makes sense. And so it's just like, you want to create a world as an actor, writer, whatever. You're creating a world, and when someone jumps in that world with you, it feels good. So,
yeah, and that's a good feeling, because when you really can appreciate more than the surface, it makes you want to learn more, watch it over and over again. I mean, to be honest, especially with Tyler Perry writing, when I think about it, it reminds me of the Bible. Like, you can read the same scripture over and over, but get something different from it every single time. But yeah, like a Scooby-Doo thing, I realized when I was recording a video this morning, I think it was a Oval or Greenleaf video. You know how it's like urban and when it's RURAL.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot say that word without sounding like Scooby-Doo. I cannot say it like rural. I can't do it. It just,
you're like rural. You say it too many times.
I know it's like ruh-roh, raggy, Ruby Zack. I could do that, but I can't do what?
That was really good.
Oh, thanks. I know I have this weird talent of remembering theme songs from back in the day and character voices. Like, Waggy, I need the Scooby snacks. And then it's like whenever somebody would go like, somebody get that blasted dog out of there. Dog? Where? And I'm like, oh.
Am I not looking at you like I'm like, if I'm closing my eyes, it sounds like Scooby. That's good.
Right group. But yeah, I love Scooby-Doo. I just feel like back in the day, simpler times, waking up early.
Getting up early.
Now I feel old talking about it, but I remember back in the day, theme songs were so good. Like if you missed the theme song, that just ruined your whole mood. I don't care what the episode was about.
I know, and now I skip themes. Like, you know, on Netflix, it's skip intro. I do. I skip it now because
my bad. I'm sorry. I jumped to conclusions. What kind of shows we're talking about here?
Like, what show did I just finish watching on Netflix where I skipped the intro? Oh, you know what I started? Don't judge me for this. I started skipping the intro on The Last Dance. Did you watch that?
That's the Michael Jordan documentary, right? Okay, fair enough.
I skipped the intro on that. I skipped the intro on almost. I just watched Defending Jacob 2 on Apple Plus. I skipped the intro. I skip it all the time because I just want to get to it. And also, I don't think intros are like they used to be. They're not as good.
No. It set the mood. The songs just set the mood. Like, there's the big debate, like, okay, what's the best Tyler Perry theme song? I say this all the time in the live stream. We go back and forth. It's like The Oval, Sisters, Bruh, or Ruthless. Which one has the best? Ruthless is the best. That theme song, and I'm not going to sing it because I do it sometimes, but I don't want to do it. You know they had the Ruthless Challenge, right? Around the time of the BET Awards, like Anthony Bless, the actor who plays Malcolm in the series, who actually wrote and performed the theme song. It was like this challenge where you make a video trying to either dancing or singing the song, and you win a free year BET Plus. I would have done it, but I was super busy at the time with videos. But, I don't want to do it. Okay, I just know the first verse, and then it gets kind of weird after that because it's like I rap really fast. But I'll say this. If I do some of the words, then you have to sing the Scooby-Doo theme song.
Oh, no. Okay, fine.
Okay.
I'll sing it. I mean, people aren't going to want to hear my voice.
Okay, I just know that.
But you know the song that I remember most from Scooby-Doo is the Earth, Wind, Fire, and Air.
We may look bad, but we don't care. We ride the wind with sings of fire. To love the earth is all in desire. It's like boom, 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 boom. All I know is this. It's like I put on the glasses, like when the sun go down, down, they run the city, something, 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 something. I don't know the word. Rackadooshi. And then the girl screams, ah, and then that's it. That's all I remember. But I know I will tear up that first verse. That's it. I remember it. I know there's an extended cut. Okay. Long story short, I have a bad relationship with the song because here's the reason why. When I do my videos, I typically have the theme song at the beginning of the videos. I never post full episodes. It's like episode review, trailer breakdowns, whatever. It's the theme song, and then from there, it's my voice. Anthony was like, yo, you got my blessing. Use the song in the theme song. I mean, in your videos. I did like the first 5 episode reviews of Ruthless and all these other videos and whatnot. And then YouTube just, it was after the timeline video. That's why I was upset, because I spent like 6 hours working on it. And YouTube copyright claimed all the videos. I'm like, no, it took 2 weeks to get the videos back. And I'm like, after that, I'm never using that theme song again. Yeah. So as much as I love it, I have a bad relationship with it. So I have not listened to the extended cut yet. But I trust and believe, if I learn more of the words, I will send you a voice message where I sing it. I just cannot remember at this moment. But the Scooby-Doo theme song,
I feel like it's the Scooby-Doo, where are you? Da, 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 da. I don't remember. Da, da, Scooby-Doo.
You don't remember the words? I can sing
it. It's 20 years.
I can sing it.
I remember the tune.
It's like the bats come out of the mansion like, Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Where are you? We've got some work to do now. Wow, wow. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We need some help from you now. You know we got a mystery to solve in Scooby-Doo. Get ready for your act. Don't call back. And Scooby-Doo, when you come through, we're going to find yourself a Scooby snack. That's a fact. And then they sing the same chorus again, and I'm like, wow, that's a catchy song, even though the show wasn't always action-packed. I think my favorite episode was with the carnival, with the robot Charlie walking around the carnival sting. I
Your
mean,
memory. I'm just like, what is after this? I'm like, I need to get my memory checked because I know that I watched like all of the episodes, but I can't remember anything. All we did as kids, we watched Cartoon Network. So we watched like
Captain Planet.
or maybe that was Nickelodeon.
Cat Dog was Nickelodeon.
So we watched Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. Those were the two. So Cat Dog, Hey Arnold.
Yep, I got most of these shows on DVD. Like, Hey Arnold was ahead of his time.
Rugrats.
I don't like that show as much as I remember it. I remember it well. Reptar, Phil, Lil, Chucky, Angelica, Susie, Tommy. I remember way too much stuff. But yeah, I just Johnny Bravo. That was another good one. I just feel like Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Laboratory.
I didn't watch much. What was the guy with the hair that was like that?
What color? Was he white or black?
Brown. He was white. What is that? Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah, Jimmy Neutron. Oh yeah, the one who looked like, I know, like the squirrels are always attacking because his head looked like an acorn.
I watched that too. We had a lot of that going on.
Remember the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour where it was Fairly Odd Parents and Jimmy Neutron in a crossover? Those were amazing. I know I see the
Fairly Odd Parents too. The Fairly Odd Parents.
I got to meet. Oh my God, you were singing the song? You remember it?
I was like, hey kid, he yells something, he goes, Fairly Odd Parents.
Oh yeah. It's like the odd parents, they're the odd parents. They flip your lid.
It's tiny things.
Fairly Odd Parents. Hey, twerk, bing, and then they would turn into something random. Hey, they got rid of Vicky towards the end. I was mad. I got to meet Butch Hartman in person.
Who?
The guy who wrote and created Danny Phantom, Tough Puppy, and Fairly Odd Parents. He came to Liberty.
Oh my God.
And I got
Liberty?
He didn't go to Liberty. He came there because I didn't know he was Christian. I think I think he has a kid that goes there. But basically, he was doing like an arts expo, and I got to meet him. And I'm like, holy crap, if I can barely I actually have video footage when I met him because I didn't ask for an autograph. In my mind, I'm like, okay, one day I want to get so big, I want to meet him again. So I don't want to take a picture because then it will feel like, I've already met him. But he drew a Danny Phantom character for me, and he signed a Fairly Odd Parents photo he had. But he was like one of the first people like, oh, you have a great voice, and you should definitely
you do have a good voice.
Oh, thanks. I just feel like it's not reflected in all my videos because kind of like Tyler Perry cranking out stuff. Sometimes I will do like 11 videos at one time if my mind is like going. But he was like, why don't you get yourself an agent and try to work things out? And I'm like, is that how you start? I don't know. I've never done that before. But I would love to do possibly voice acting from time to time.
Yeah, I haven't done that much voice acting, but it's definitely a thing. It's definitely a separate thing.
Oh yeah, because you have to telegraph with your voice versus your body language. Like I mean, I can kind of see it with you. Like I mean, just from
I do have my commercial agent. They're also voiceover, so I do some voiceover auditions.
Whoa.
But when I'm listening to people, it's definitely like it's just a different skill because it's like. Yeah, you could be going up for something where you want to use your regular voice, but then it's like you look at the pictures of people who are like, I'm trying to think, like, look at the person who voices SpongeBob or like, ooh, sorry.
I thought that was like a background noise.
I was like, why does it make noise on your computer when your phone is on silent?
Good question.
That's like I am doing something, but yeah, so you should look into it.
Yeah, I will definitely. Ironically enough, you probably won't believe this. It was 2016. I actually did a voice coaches class. It's like this agency in New York where I actually went through their course and everything and had an official demo filmed. Never did anything with it. It's actually sitting in a crate behind me. And people are like, if you don't do something with it, I'm like, hey, I'll do something. But my thing was, this was like before I started doing YouTube full time because 3 years in a call center, your voice gets a lot of exercise.
That's true.
The amount of people who were like, wait, are you a recording or are you a real person? I got that a lot. And then
you're very resonant. You have a lot of resonance going on, a lot of chest tones. My voice is like, because I'm from Chicago, it's very, I feel like it's kind of nasally, very forward in my face, you know.
Mean, you're in the Windy City, so I mean, that's why you probably got
heard, right?
Yeah. And wait, didn't Family Matters take place in Chicago? I think so.
I think so.
Yeah, like I remember having great debates with people about Family Matters now. Was it really a great show? I feel like, it depends on how you look at it because Steve Urkel took over. But I mean, I it's a classic, but I always wanted to use the Transformation Chamber to be Stefan Urkel, which I have no idea how to pronounce my name. If I stepped into the chamber, that would be awesome. Okay, then I could see myself on the Tyler Perry show because as of now, I'm like background character, but I just think like I just love the fact that you have so much range with the cast. Like you have a person. It's like I love the Mike jokes where they talk about his height. And it's like, you know, he's like the most outspoken one, but he's the shortest. And I guess my other random question I'm going to throw out there, if not Tom, would Valerie actually, okay, I guess I'm asking you as Caroline, but
okay,
if not Tom, would there be another of the bruh characters who you would like to see Valerie with?
I think that, you know, this is just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I think, you know, what's Darren's character's name? Darren's his name as an actor, and I'm blanking. He's Regina's.
Something Pumpernickel. I forgot his real name. I mean, his first name. Is it Tom or Bill or something? I forgot. I know it's the guy that Bill went to college
Why
with.
am I forgetting? His name is in real life is Darren, but what is his name? Peter.
Oh, Peter. There we go.
I think Valerie needs somebody like Peter. She needs somebody stable.
See,
and I think when she grows up, like if she's not with Tom, when she grows up, maybe it would be someone like Darren. I don't think she'd be good with Mike at all. Maybe John, but I don't know. I think she wants to be with who doesn't, but she wants to be with somebody. That's why I would say Peter. Maybe Peter.
Peter. Okay.
But I don't know what's going
right?
to happen. Huh? You just cut off.
Oh, hang on a second.
I hear you now.
Oh, thank goodness, because it just froze. I'm like, oh, no. We're getting to the good stuff.
Yeah, you froze for 2 seconds, but I was too busy talking that I didn't even notice.
Okay, because Peter, it's like, I was mad at Bill because I've never been engaged or anything, but I've been the Peter, like the nice guy.
Yeah, the nice guy, the reliable guy.
But then they get thrown to the side because of an ex or some jerk. And it's like, I was so mad at Bill because you literally wrecked the engagement just because you saw Regina happy with somebody else. The worst part is you told Peter, oh, I see my crazy ex out there. I'm just in the sandwich shop avoiding her. And I'm like, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in the back half. It's like, will they even get to the wedding? But when I saw the cliffhanger was Regina having drunken bathroom sex at the
bachelorette party, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm just like, and she was getting married the next day. Wow.
I got to keep my mouth closed because I'm scared I'll say something. But yeah, it's definitely that one. I mean, you'll see.
I mean, imagine if Valerie's at the wedding and catches the bouquet.
Ooh, that would be something.
I'm not asking for spoilers. I'm just like brainstorming here because it's like, again, the ladies seem to know each other in this like close-knit city. Well, actually, I think Regina was out of town and just came back recently, if I remember correctly. I can't really remember.
In the show?
Yeah, and bruh, like Regina, I don't know if Regina was still in Atlanta. I know that her and Bill had broken up a couple of years ago. Oh yeah, because they broke up. Regina waited like 2 years for him, but he really didn't try to get back with her or mature. And then she eventually got with Peter. So I forgot because I'm just thinking like, you know, for Bill to actively try to avoid her, it's like, I think Regina moved out of town or something and then came back. I could be wrong, but because yeah.
Now I'm not sure.
It's been a while. Like I know the show's been off for a while, but I'm just thinking like, you know, when Regina first was introduced in episode 2, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was episode 2 because episode 3 was called Chapter 5 or 7. I forgot. I know it was when Bill was giving Mike a hard time about Pam. Yeah. And I think that
well, also there's that like connection between Bill and Peter's dad like has all the architecture contracts. So I feel like she's been in town. He just hasn't seen her.
Oh yeah,
And
everybody's job is kind of effed up right now when you think about
yeah,
it, because
yeah,
Bill stepped in on the engagement. I think that Peter mentioned, like, before that even happened, Peter was like, "Hey, why don't you talk with my, come over to my company, help work with us because we own like the biggest thing in the city." And then when he found out about the Regina and the engagement being in danger, he's like, "You know what? You messed up. You know, my dad's company, that's like the only construction in this town. So without us, you're screwed." And then well, Valerie got time suspended, and then Mike's job isn't really in danger at the moment. I think it really depends on what happens next with the dean's daughter, because I feel like the dean's daughter, I thought when it was brought up, I'm like, oh, this is bad, because Mike, he was kind of like the catalyst. He was the one that told Tom to sleep with Valerie. He was the one that told Bill to break up with Regina. John took the fall for Mike, even though he didn't know it. But I feel like, honestly, all the bros told him not to go after the dean's daughter. But I think it was Bill who mentioned, that's your own damn problem, Mike. You always go after what you can't have. So I think that, yeah, the Bill thing was like the first domino to fall over, because John, by him going to jail, that messed up his like resume, if you
yeah,
will.
like he couldn't go back to school. Like,
Exactly. And I mean, ironically enough, the dude who took the drug money was the only bruh who looked like they might actually have, income coming in via the club. So, I mean, it would have been interesting to see if Valerie would have interacted. I'm just trying to think like what character she could possibly, connect with.
I mean, we'll see. We got to just see, because, it could be Tom. Who knows?
I mean, but would I really want to get with somebody who got me suspended from work, though, and made false allegations against me?
I don't know.
Love is a crazy thing.
It is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, unlike Valerie, she's misunderstood and needs to be, really thought about. Sorry.
That's okay.
I know it's like telemarketers calling all the time. But I think that Tom, I don't think Tom saw things from Valerie's perspective. I think that's probably one of the most biggest reasons for the conflict.
It's just they were not on the same page ever. And so it's, that happens. They
were just in the same bed, that's all.
That's a good tagline. Not on the same page, just the same bed.
Hey, it actually defines a lot of these characters when you think about it. But okay, so that's all the questions, and trust and believe, guys, we can talk for forever. Like,
I know.
My God.
It was really nice I don't think I've dissected bruh like this with anybody. So thank you for having me on, being your first person from bruh, I guess.
First person from bruh.
At least in the chat. So, but yeah, thank you, Jeremy. And I hope that after we watch the second half of season 1, we'll talk again.
I was about to say that, because I feel like there's so much you couldn't say, but you kind of wanted to say. And I feel like we only just saw the tip of the iceberg with Valerie. So guys, just thank you again for coming on, Caroline. Make sure you follow her on Instagram. I'll be sure to link that in the comment section below. Follow her. Very nice. Not like her character on the show. That's not to say Valerie isn't nice, but Caroline seems more level-headed and willing to have a conversation without the threat of suspension. So is there any last things you want to throw in there, or have we just covered things from top to bottom?
I feel like we hit it all. I feel like, but I just want people to know that they can still get that free trial. So
7 days.
At a stopping point for like the next month or so. So go ahead, get that trial, binge watch the first half. If you like it, keep BET Plus. It's $9.99 a month, so it's a good deal, and it's worth it. There's a lot of good stuff on there, a lot of good movies, a lot of good content. So I just hope that people watch it and tell us what you think, because I love reading what people think.
Actually, valid point, last thing. Because Tyler Perry shows, if I'm not mistaken, are kind of on hiatus right now, because If Loving You Is Wrong, once that ended, and The Oval, we have August 27th is the Medea farewell play coming to BET Plus. Okay. Then on September 2nd, we have Assisted Living in House of Pain. So August is kind of like a Tyler Perry dry spell. So if there was ever a time to catch up on The Oval, Ruthless, and Bruh, now is the time to do it. So definitely sign into BET Plus. But once again, Caroline, thank you so much for tuning
Thank
in,
you.
everybody. I hope you enjoyed the interview, and I hope everybody stays safe and has a great weekend. And I will talk to you all soon. Take care. All right. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed the interview. Thanks so much to Caroline for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you about not only the series Bruh on BET Plus, which again, you can stream the first 12 episodes now. It's a 7-day free trial, and then it's $9.99 plus tax each month. There's a lot of great content on there aside from just Ruthless and Bruh. There are plenty of great comedy specials, black movies and television shows, which you've probably forgotten about if you haven't seen them in a while. So I definitely recommend getting BET Plus, or if you just want to wait until the back half of the season starts to air later this year, by all means. But something to keep in mind is the Madea Farewell Tour is coming, or excuse me, the Madea Farewell Play is coming to BET Plus on the 27th. So if you want to wait until the end of August or sometime in September, that's understandable, but I definitely recommend Bruh. So once again, make sure you follow Caroline on her Instagram. She's definitely a sweetheart, great to talk to, as you just saw in the interview. And once again, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification icon. That way you don't miss out whenever I do more interviews and videos in the future. And if you would like to donate to the channel, which is not mandatory but appreciated, feel free to hit me up on PayPal or Cash App, or you can join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. I'm definitely going to take some cuts from this interview because there are some funny moments I definitely want to compile into one specific video. And yeah, definitely why I don't know if I see myself as a professional interviewer in the near future, because it's hard to stay on topic. I mean, because I'm just having such a good time talking with the cast. So hopefully I'll be able to get someone from maybe Ruthless in the near future. I know they're about to film their season 2 soon enough, but Ruthless, just like Bruh, is a BET Plus series I highly recommend checking out. Not to mention, if you love The Oval, then you need to watch Ruthless, because there are certain story points that happen there that occur in both series. Now, also, when it comes to Sistas, there's only been one specific thing linking both series, and that's the appearance of Andy in episode 2. However, who's to say the back half of Bruh wouldn't have more crossover moments like that in the near future? So once again, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the interview, and I'll talk to you next time.